Hey guys, welcome back to Cultivation with Christy. I'm Christy. If you're like me, Thanksgiving is upon us, so I'm doing a lot of prep work now and getting ready for the week. So I did a video on cranberry jelly. This is my first time doing cranberry jelly. It was a pain in the butt. Make sure you have the proper tools before you do that, because oof. I got some vegetable stock simmering there, and then over here is what I'm going to show you. I've got cranberries. So I bought 3 bags of cranberries thinking that was going to be enough for my cranberry jelly. Well, it was too much, so I have a cranberry orange muffin that I like to do around the holiday time. Really, I do it anytime I have cranberries in the freezer. You can do them with fresh cranberries or frozen cranberries. Either one's work. I've tried it both ways. But you'll need one 12-ounce bag. We'll rinse them, pick out the gross looking ones. My gross looking ones. I had a little bit over 12 ounces because it took a little less than 2 bags to do the cranberry jelly. So you'll add your 12 ounces of cranberries to the bowl. You put the bowl back, and then I'll set you guys down so I quit giving you motion sickness. So 12 ounces of cranberries to the bowl. I got cranberry halves from a local farmer's market and just crushed them up in a bag. So you want half a cup of nuts. Mix that in with your cranberries. Then I've got orange peel, just dried orange peel. If you have fresh, that's usually what I use, but since I don't have it, I'm just going to use Adon's dried stuff. Don't tell him. That's my husband. Don't tell him. So the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons, but since this is dried, I'm only going to use 1 tablespoon of the dried stuff. Put that in there. And then I've got a half cup of just regular granulated sugar. And then you'll want to mix that all together. And my cranberries, I had put the bag in the freezer because I wasn't going to use it, and then I got to thinking I need breakfast for the week, and so it is the week of Thanksgiving, so I'm going to make us some muffins. So once you get that all mixed together, I told you that because they're starting to thaw, so that's why the sugar's sticking to them real well, because they were in the freezer for maybe an hour or 2. Alright, so once you get your nuts and cranberries mixed together, and you can use whatever kind of nut you want to. Again, I'm in the South, so pecan is what I have, but I also use walnut. Or you can leave out the nuts if you don't want to. Then I've got 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Hello. And then I've got a half cup granulated sugar. Then we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. One teaspoon of salt. And a half teaspoon of baking soda. Then you're going to mix that all together. I'm pretty sure you came to see me. Just kidding. Okay, even though I look like a hot mess because today's kitchen day. So I'm going to roughly mix that together. Then I've got 2 tablespoons of cold butter, and now you're going to cut the butter in. And you can either do that with your hands or mixer if you have one, or I don't know what it's actually called, but it's to cut butter in. So I'm going to cut this in pieces first to make it more manageable. And then all you're going to do is cut the butter in, which is just make it to where your flour mixture has a more crumbly texture. And like I said, you can use your hands and just kind of smush it together, or you take your butter cutting tool and you just smush it in there. I believe this is my grandmother's. I gotta be careful because the paint is coming off of it. Either my grandma's or my great-grandma's. I got it from my grandma. But you can see the butter will clump together there on the end. Just smoosh it off and keep going. But with that butter being cold and incorporated in your flour, you'll have a very lovely texture in your muffins. You do the same thing for biscuits. Roots and Refuge, Jessica, shared a recipe on her new channel, Farmer's Table, if you're interested in going over there. She's got a really good biscuit recipe where you cut the butter in her biscuit recipe, and she just used her hands, which is perfectly fine. I usually just go back through with my hands to make sure I don't find any big clumps, and just smush them together with your hands until they're small enough you can't really tell that there's butter in it. It just makes the flour a little bit more of a crumbly texture. Okay, so my butter is cut in. I have 1 cup of regular old orange juice that I'm gonna add to my flour mixture, and 2 eggs. If you have farm fresh eggs, or like me, you're not very good at cracking eggs, I recommend cracking them separate in a separate bowl. You can also give them a little whisk in there to help incorporate them too. Look at that, no shells. Give them a quick whisk. Drop them in there. Then you'll want to take the recipe recommends a wooden spoon. So I usually go ahead and use a wooden spoon, and I usually incorporate most of the eggs and the orange juice first, and then we'll add in our cranberry mixture. So when I was doing my cranberry sauce, jelly, whatever, in the previous video, I decided I needed a food mill for Christmas because it took me an hour to strain out all of the seeds and all of the skin from the cranberries. So, is anybody else wishing for kitchen tools for Christmas? I think I've hit that age where I am completely fine with getting everyday household items. when we were younger. You didn't want the socks or, you know, the underwear. But I am completely fine with getting socks and underwear and kitchen tools. Alright, so you're going to add in your cranberries. And like I said, wow, I had a little over 12 ounces. So this is going to make a lot of muffins. It'll probably make close to 2 dozen. What I usually do is make 1 dozen or 1.5 dozen or so in the standard size muffin pan, and then make some mini ones. So if you have kids or don't usually like eating a whole muffin or don't want 2 but 1 is not enough, those mini sizes are really good. Alright, I'm going to mix this all together. I'm going to get out my muffin tin, preheat my oven to 425, and get these rolling. Alright, muffin tin sprayed. I'm going to do them in a couple of batches because I only have 1 large muffin tin. I have done them just in these little cups on a cookie sheet, but the bottoms usually burn. I don't know why. I filled them a little full just because those cranberries are gonna pop and they're gonna shrink. But I'll show you what they look like after, so if you don't want to do it this full, you have them warned. Or you know what they're gonna turn out like. Okay, my oven's preheated to 425. I'm gonna put them in and bake them for 5 minutes. Alright, they've been cooking for 5 minutes. We're gonna reduce the heat to 350 and let them go for another 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your oven. And then I shut you off. Huh, okay. You know the drill. Toothpick comes out clean. We're good to go. So then, I usually put them on a cooling rack. Because they've got the little silicone. I'm going to let them cool on the rack. So these are how full they are. And they didn't really run over too bad. Alright, I've preheated the oven to 425. Second batch is going in. They're not quite as full, but that's all the batter, so it made a 2 dozen batch. So then these have been sitting here a couple of minutes, and now I can just pull them right out. You see all that steam? That was getting trapped in there, and then they were going to get mushy. That's a good thing about, well, good and bad, I guess. If you're doing the silicone, one, you can reuse them, but it traps all the moisture in. So if you were using a regular muffin wrapper, it would probably be fine. Alright, I'm going to set these aside, and I'm going to let the other ones finish. Obviously, I would not leave them crowded on the cooling rack like this, but I'm about to take these off because they're nice and cool. But here is the finished product. Show you. I got the nuts and the cranberry. Very good. Got the orange, got the cranberry. If you don't like cranberry, these are not for you. Try some. Tell me what you think. Enjoy.